Hey folks, pretty miserable looking day outside today, so I thought I'd do a nice little one inside for you. Talk about the chessboard that I've been making. Way back when, beginning of the summer, before I even got my carving knife, I was sitting out on the porch one day with a branch and my old Swiss Army knife. Just started carving away on some of the old maple stuff that we had that had fallen down. And I happened to come out with this little guy, which is a king for a chess set. So of course I had no intention of making a chess set. I just carved out this one, and then my wife came walking in the room and said to her son, "Hey, how would you like your own chess set?" Because he's into chess right now. So next thing you know, I'm making a whole board. So I've got all these pieces. It took me a while because silly me, I decided I was going to carve with maple, which can be quite tough. And I would recommend to you, if you are going to do any kind of carving project, I mean, I've got some old pine cuts here. They were sitting in the woodshed, and they're really good to start with. Also, cedar is a nice wood to start with because it's quite soft. Maple is not the choice for the beginners, and I'll just give you a rough idea. It's easy enough to get that bark off there. Once you get through to the bark, you gotta really push to get it to go in there, as opposed to you pick up the cedar and you rip off the bark, and with that you can see much easier. And then again you step over to the pine, and even more than that, you can make really soft, really nice cuts on softer wood. Obviously, hardwood will hold detail. Softwood is easier to work with. And in the interest of your thumbs, trust me on this one, because after I did the first couple of days, my thumbs were numb for probably at least a week. They've still got a bit of numbness in them. So if you're going to start out, use the softer wood. Anyway, managed to get past that point. And then when I started doing the board, some of the ones that I looked at for the initial design, I thought, okay, let's keep it as simple as possible. So there's your bishop. Basically, I just stripped all the bark off and left a cross on it. I thought, okay, perfect, white bishop, there you go. What am I going to do for the black pieces? Well, I just reversed it. Left all the bark on, stripped out the other part, and that's my basic rook design that I first came up with. Just put a little castle turret around the top. So that was fun, but then I was having a little trouble trying to decide, okay, well, what am I going to do for the king, the queen, for the knight, so on and so forth. So anyway, I finally decided, okay, fine, I'm going to carve the whole board. So, easiest piece that I could think of, that's your pawn. It's just like a little mushroom, just like a little toadstool. And all I did with that, I'll give you a very basic rundown again. You got to get the bark off. And you can cut with green wood, or you can cut with dried wood. Green wood will be a bit softer and a bit easier to work with, but you also have to worry about warping once it does dry. So if you carve something in green wood, you always take the chance that later on, it's not going to be like that, but it's going to be in a U shape because it's dried out so much after all the moisture that got lost. So that's what I said, you got your ups and your downs. I carved all of this with green, because that's how I first found it, and I've been lucky so far. But again, I mean, they're pretty small chess pieces. It's not like we had some chargers made up by my sister and my brother-in-law out of big rounds of wood, and when they gave them to us, they were dead flat, and then by the time they dried out, they turned into more of a bowl saucer shape. So again, you take your chances. Anyway, you get the wood off, you get the idea, and then again, with the pawn, you just start cutting in. What you probably should do, be as careful as you can, but you're going to go around there. You're going to make that edge all the way around, and then you're just going to cut into that edge, and those pieces are going to cut off. And I'm kind of rushing this just for the camera, but what you're going to end up with, like I said, and that's the pawn piece, the easiest one to do. you just keep carving all the way around until you make a bit of a neck in it, and then you round off the top by, again, just going around, carving very slowly. You can do like that, and then you start going in like that, and eventually you will end up with a little guy like that. Easy piece, right? No problem. Great, you ready for the next one? So, starting at the end, there's my rook design. Very simple again. Made a line around there, made a line around there, cut out again a castle turret shape. So all I did was make a cross in the top, and then so I've marked out each corner, and then just dug in with a knife on both sides. Kept digging in till you get to there, and then you just gotta go down, and then yeah, you just keep pulling it out until you get to that. After that, I think I did the bishop one after that, and that was pretty easy. I mean, like, that was just putting a point on the end of a piece of wood, and then carving out a branch. And again, like, all I did there was push in there, push in there, push in there, push in there, and then carve out the sides. So you put a line in there, and then all you did was push in and carve out that, like that. Same thing, you flip over sides, out it came. This one was a bit of a pain, not gonna lie. Because again, with maple, it's a very tough wood, so you'd think that would be really simple, but just to do that bit right there took a good half hour to 45 minutes of digging like a madman, trying to get that piece out. And then this was flat originally on top, so all that had to be carved up that way, making sure you didn't go too deep and chop the ears off, and then you just cut in the middle of there. So it's carving up the sides, trying to make it flat, putting a V shape into there, taking the top off. So imagine going like that. I can do this because the ends still have to be leveled off, but it was basically pushing in like that with all your might, taking the top off there, making sure you put a notch in there, take the ears out. Again, I showed you the king already. The king just started with V's on the top, and then you carve in that, so you got all the way around. You push a mark into there, push a mark up that way, and then draw that line in with your knife as well. Sorry, I'm going all over the place here. Carve a V into there, and again, dig out the sides. And that's it for the pieces. And then after that, we got into the board. And the board was kind of fun, but the board was kind of a pain as well, because you wouldn't believe how hard it is to find a piece this size without a massive crack going right down the middle. So this took a bit of digging, but I finally found a piece that was close. The only problem is there were a couple of notches in it, so lucky enough I've filled those in with wood glue. It doesn't look too bad right now. And then basically the way I got the board, I just took my ruler and I measured it out in inches, because that was the easiest. Measured out 12 inches. And then to get the 8 squares out of 12 inches, you just do 1.5 inches. 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, all the way up. So you mark your grid out, did it with pencil, and then once that was marked out, I just came back with a chisel and a hammer. And I've left one square up here just so I can show you. But I just get on the side of it and follow the line that I've already made. Put it in right on top of the line. Give it a couple of knocks to get in. And there you go. That's all there is to it. One more time. Get the other half of the square. And there's your square. I didn't quite get it perfect, but it's not bad. So the only problem with this now is if I put any kind of stain on it, I'm going to lose that silver, because all that silver is weathering. This piece has been sitting out for probably a year, and that's just weathered color right there. So I've done this before where I had something and it had that silver color, and I put mineral oil on top, and instantly that turned into more like a darker version of that. Actually, it was my coffee table restoration. If you go back and watch that video, that coffee table originally was that same silver color, and I was hoping to keep that, and I lost it when I put the mineral oil on. So we're not going to do that this time. We're going to stay away from it, and we're going to try and keep this as natural as possible. Obviously, I want to put some kind of finish on it. I'll probably go with just a clear coat, and that should do it, hopefully. But this has a little bit of work to do still, obviously. It's got to be sanded down a little bit. Some of the edges need to be taken off. I need to fix up that wood glue. But again, like, we've got the sandpaper for that, so my standard issue is usually an 80, a 160, a 220, a 320. With the board, like I said, because it's got that silver grain in it, I don't want to take the 80 to it, because I took the 80 to it in a couple of spots, like right around here. And you won't be able to see it on camera, but it is starting to go through that silver. So if you have something similar and you want to keep the silver, because the silver is not that thick, it doesn't go into the grain that much, I would suggest that you keep to something at a 320 or above, because all you want to do, you're going to have to spend a little extra time on it, but all you want to do is smooth it out and not lose that color. So be careful when you're doing the sandpaper. On top of that, any scraps that come off of this, I've been saving in a bucket. And I'm trying to decide either that's going to go into making some kind of paper project, or that can be used as kindling, or I can grind it all up, and I'm not really sure just yet. Anybody has any suggestions, let me know. We'll figure out what to do with that. But other than that, that's basically it for now. So let me know what you think. Leave me a comment, and leave me a like and a subscribe. Talk to you later.